YouTube? This is Mr.Lubufu, and I'm here with today's Magic the Gathering news. Now, as some of you might know, this weekend was PAX, the Penny Arcade Expo, and like they have done in prior years, there are some big spoilers that have happened. So I'm going to go ahead and go through each and every one of them, let you guys know what I think, and there are some pretty impressive things if you can read the title above. But we're going to start small and work our way up. So first we have Mardu Skullhunter. She's a 2/1 for 2 that enters the battlefield tapped, that has the Mardu keyword raid. When it enters the battlefield, if you attack with a creature, target opponent discards a card. So it feels very much like Ravenous Rats or those sort of effects where you just cast it, get maybe some little bit of incremental advantage. It's okay. It's a fine common. Kind of glad that they printed it. It has to come into play tapped, I guess, but I can see this being a legit or like a decent playable card in limited, at least. Probably not for standard, by the way. Herald of Anafenza, like that's not difficult to say. Where we have the Abzan keyword, which is Outlast. So Outlast is some cost that you pay the cost, tap the creature, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature, Outlast only as a sorcery. So in this case, we have a 1/2 for 1 that when you activate its Outlast ability, put a 1/1 white warrior creature token onto the battlefield. So this is a very grindy mechanic. I think it's going to be too slow for standard even. This guy, as a rare, it's pretty strong actually. Lets you at least have some sort of mana sink, and making him get slightly bigger is also quite relevant, and getting generic 1/1s is also fine. Definitely a very interesting card. I'm glad to see that this new mechanic's running around. We'll see how it plays out. Next we have Crackling Doom, which is my favorite name so far of the set, which is red, white, black. For deals 2 damage to each opponent sacrifices a creature with the greatest power among creatures he or she controls. I don't like it, really. I kind of wish it was 2 damage to each creature, and then the Edict effect would happen, because then it'd be very strong. It'd be Pyroclasm plus Edict at the cost of 3 mana. Here, it's definitely you're shocking your opponent, and then they sacrifice a creature, which I don't think is that strong, to be completely honest. I know some people are talking about it, but I'm not impressed. Next, we have Temur Ascendancy, so green, blue, red. It's an enchantment. Creatures you control have haste, and whenever a creature with power 4 or greater enters the battlefield under your control, you may draw a card. Now, those of you may remember Fires of Yavimaya, which cost 4 mana and was kind of insane. The question is, like, Gruul War Chant now wasn't good enough for it. So the question is Temur Ascendancy at 3 mana, but forcing you to play 3 different colors, strong enough for you to have it? I think this card has potential. I mean, the hardest thing, of course, is about casting it, because three colors on turn 3 is kind of difficult to do in a lot of formats. So you have to have really good mana fixing. But I'm curious to see where it'll end up. This certainly can be a card that can control some decks at least. Now we have Necropolis Fiend. So we have the return of Delve. For those of you that weren't around back when Delve was introduced in Future Sight, each card you exile from your graveyard while casting this spell pays for 1. And this guy's a strong card in limited, I think, because it's a 9 mana 4/5 flyer, but it has Delve, so it's not actually going to be 9 mana. It's probably going to be 5 or 6. And you can X-tap, exile X cards from your graveyard. Target creature gets -X/-X until end of turn. So late game, this guy's kind of insane. It really forces you to think about, okay, how much do I want to delve him for, etc., etc. I'm quite interested. I think this guy's fairly interesting. I think he's going to be strong and limited, not going to be standard playable, of course. Next, we have Mardu Warshrieker. So it's a 4 mana 3/3, so stock power toughness for cost. And then it has just raid. When it enters the battlefield, if you attack, add red, white, black to your mana pool. Now, if it's going to be strong enough for constructed, I don't think so, but I think for limited, it's going to be just fine if you can make the most out of the mana. I think it's fine, but it's a common, so, what else can you expect? Next, we have Dragon-style Twins, where we have, once again, the Revelation of Prowess. So when you cast a non-creature spell, the creature gets +1/+1. It's a 5 mana 3/3 double strike, which is going to be very strong and limited. This guy's going to be one of the bomb rares of the set. You open it, play it, and make people sad because they don't know whether or not to block with their 4/4 or not. You can get just blown out by a single combat trick. The card's going to be very, very strong in limited. Not for standard, of course. Now we have Duneblast. 4 colorless, white, black, green. Choose 1 creature, destroy the rest. Now, if this is the Wrath we're getting in this set, there's not going to be a good Wrath for a while because this card is way too expensive for it to be good. So, not impressed with it, to be completely honest. It's just another mediocre Wrath they made. Now we have Heir of the Wilds, where we have the Temur, however you want to pronounce it, keyword, which is Ferocious, which is whenever it attacks, if you control a creature with power 4 or greater, an ability happens. In this case, it gets +1/+1. But this guy's a 2-mana, 2/2 Death Touch, which is pretty efficient for what it is. And you can make him into a 3/3 Death Touch if you just have a big creature. So, I think this guy's very strong, in limited at least. Not for standard, of course, but very strong card. Now we have Sultai Charm, which is a nice thing to see because it seems like we're going to have a full set of charms again. Each one of the charms did fun things. I was always a fan of Esper Charm myself. But Sultai Charm lets you choose, and you also see that we've got a new format for this that it has bullets. You either destroy target monocolored creature, destroy target artifact or enchantment, or draw 2 cards, then discard a card. Now, it's not going to be as good as the charms from Return to Ravnica because those only cost 2 and this costs 3, and that is a big difference. It's 3 colored mana. But it is possible that we find one of the charms for one of the clans to be really, really strong. So we'll see. We'll keep your eyes open. Maybe we find a very strong charm. Next, you have JESKAI Wind Scout. 3 mana, 2/1 flying with prowess. So it's just a generic common for limited. I think it's a very fine common. Possibility to make it a 3/2 flyer is okay. It's just going to be pretty normal. It ain't no Welkin turn, is what I'm saying. Ainok Bond-Kin, 2 mana, 2/1. So that in itself is fine. But you can outlast, and each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it has first strike, which is very, very relevant. I think this guy's going to be pretty strong common if the white seems to continue to support this sort of +1/+1 counter shenanigans. And giving creatures you control with +1/+1 counters first strike is very, very, very good. I think this guy's going to be a pretty strong common if the format is slow enough like it seems like it's going to be. Icefeather Aven is a very efficiently costed 2 mana 2/2 flyer. It also has morph of colors gray and blue that when it's turned face up, you get to have the mana war effect. So we've seen this sort of effect in the past. This guy has a much better body than what was on the original morph unsummoned creature. So at the cost of, having to play 2 colors. I think this guy's going to be pretty strong and limited. It does kind of commit you to 2 colors pretty early on, but I'm excited. Now we have Shambling Attendants. So it's an 8 mana 3/5, but it has Delve and Death Touch. It's going to be a generic common, not top tier, but it's not going to be bad either. It's going to be probably like a 22nd, 23rd pick. And now onto one of the big splashy cards, Sarkhan the Dragonspeaker. It's a 5 mana 4 loyalty planeswalker that until end of turn, for +1, he becomes a legendary 4/4 red dragon creature with flying, indestructible, and haste. -3, he gets to 4 damage to target creature, and -6, you get an emblem with at the beginning of your draw step, draw 2 additional cards, and at the beginning of your end step, discard your hand. Now, it's quite fascinating to see whether or not he's going to be good or not. Basically, you're playing him for 5 mana, you plus him, and you have, of sorts, you have a Storm Breath Dragon. It's basically a Storm Breath Dragon that turn. Then you are left with a 5 loyalty planeswalker, which can be okay. Doesn't have protection from white, of course, but it is indestructible. It's kind of interesting. I like how they include he doesn't lose loyalty while he's not a planeswalker. That's one of the more common questions. He has the ability to defend himself with 4 damage to target creature, and his ultimate isn't, the most insane ultimate, but because when you use it, you're gonna discard your hand that turn, and you won't get value from it until the following turn. But eventually, you get to grind out value. So it's quite fascinating. I'm not sure how good he'll be because he costs 5, but I can certainly see some sort of a valid deck with him running around. So I'm curious to see how he'll play out. Now we have Narset Enlightened Master. So we have here the JESKAI clan leader. So it's a 6 mana, 3 colorless, blue-green or blue-white-red for a 3/2 first strike with hexproof. So once again, the dreaded hexproof word returns. Whenever it attacks, exile the top 4 cards of your library. Until end of turn, you may cast non-creature cards exiled with Narset without paying their mana costs. So it's a very strong effect if you attack, though it's probably just going to get blocked by something and die. You have to really make the most out of it. I don't think it's going to be constructed playable, but for EDH, they're going to love this card. I think it's a great EDH card. And for limited, of course, if you have good spells, it's going to be pretty bonkers. Now we have Abzan Guide. So it's a 6 mana, 4/4 with lifelink that has morph. This card is actually going to be a pretty decent card in limited. 4/4s with lifelink are surprisingly underrated. Lens of Clarity is next, and it's a simple artifact that you can look at the top card of your library and at face down creatures you don't control. And I don't like this card at all. And now for the big news. The news you've all been waiting for. And I didn't think it was going to happen. Fetchlands are in concept art here, but not the Zendikar fetches. We have the reprints of the Onslaught fetches. We have a Windswept Heath, a Wooded Foothills, Bloodstained Mire, Polluted Delta, and Flooded Strand. Now this, my friends, this is real good. For those of you that don't know, both Flooded Strand and Polluted Delta are bordering the insane expensive mark because of legacy playables, and having them out in the new frames, but reprints of the Onslaught fetches is pretty awesome. I don't think a lot of people saw this coming, so I'm impressed. I also like how they have a cycle of flavor text. So Flooded Strand is where dragons once slept, their bones now rest. Where dragons once prevailed, their bones now sink. Where dragons once triumphed, their bones now molder. Where dragons' breath once burned, their bones now freeze. And where dragons once roared, their bones now keen. So, we have the Onslaught fetches, which is insane. I cannot believe that they did it. This is super big. Not only because they're going to be in Standard, which is not going to be as big a deal in Standard as you might think, but this is going to change Modern big time, because Modern now has access to all the fetch lands, which means you have essentially a perfect mana base, which is something that a lot of decks were searching for, and now you have it. In addition, it's going to be impacting Legacy, because a lot more people can start entering Legacy because fetch lands are going to be cheaper. Now, of course, the Zendikar fetches are still, I think Scalding Tarn is bordering the metric ton of dollars amount, I think is the exact number. But we have the fetches back. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I know this was kind of a long video, but there was a lot to cover. There's a lot of big things. Thank you guys all for watching. Rate, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.